What's up everyone, my name is feeper, and in this video we're going to take a break from the tanks and we're going to talk about the melee DPS ninja in Shadowbringers. I've been maining ninja since I started the game back in A Realm Reborn, and despite deciding to be a tank this tier, which I'll get into, I still wanted to talk about it. As with the last two episodes, I'll start out with an overview of the job, and then I'll get into my opinions, and oh boy do I have some opinions on this job. So let's jump in. To start out, Ninja has three different combo finishers. Aeolian Edge is your highest potency combo, Armor Crush increases your Huton duration by 30 seconds, and Shadow Fang applies a dot. The Aeolian Edge and Armor Crush finishers are both 3-hit combos, and Shadow Fang is a 2-hit combo. Now speaking of Huton, let's cover the mudras. You have 3 mudras that when pressed in a certain order will allow you to execute a specific ability. Using that ability will put them on a 20-second cooldown. The names of the mudras are Ten, Chi, and Jin. For example, just pressing any one of these mudras will result in Fuma Shuriken, and using Ten, Chi, and Jin in a row will allow you to use Suiton. So to cover all the different abilities, there's Fuma Shuriken, a physical single target move, Raiton, which is a magical single target move, Keiton, which is AoE, Doton, which is an AoE dot, Suiton, which allows you to use Trick Attack without being stealth and use Meisui, Hyoton, which really only sees use in PvP, and Huton, which gives you a 15% attack speed buff. It sounds like a lot, but you really only ever use Fuma Shuriken, although not so much anymore, Raiton, Suiton, and Doton. The next ability to talk about is called Kisatsu. This is a 2-charge ability with a 60-second cooldown that upon being used will reset your mudra cooldown and make the next one deal 30% more damage. This also upgrades 2 existing mudras into new ones, but they use the same combination. So Keiton upgrades into Gyoku Mekyaku, I'm definitely not pronouncing that correctly, which is a stronger AoE, and Hyoton upgrades into Yosho Ranryu, definitely didn't say that right either, which is a stronger single target. Now this entire time of you attacking, you've been generating a resource called Ninki, via auto attacks or weapon skills once you're level 78. Ninki can be spent on 3 different abilities, Baba Kakra, a single target nuke, Hellfrog Medium, another AoE, or Bunshin, which creates a shadow clone of you that copies almost all your weapon skills for half potency. I say almost all weapon skills because your dot does not apply twice under Bunshin. Bunshin has a 110-second cooldown, and each of these abilities costs 80 Ninki. Next up, we have Tenchi Jin, which makes you stop moving, basically it's ley lines for ninja, and allows you to subsequently use mudras up to 3 times in a row. So for example, you can use Ten to Fuma Shuriken, Chi to Raiton, and then Jin to Suiton one after another. This has a 100-second recast and does not cost Ninki anymore. Mug generates 40 Ninki for you, and its ugly twin Meisui does the same but can only be used under the effect of Suiton, so only after Suiton. Mug has a 110-second cooldown, and Meisui has a 60-second cooldown. Trick Attack, everybody's favorite ability, is your most valuable one because it gives your party 10 seconds of 10% damage up on a 60-second cooldown. It's pretty freaking good. Also, would you believe they buffed it? Note that you have to be under the effect of Suiton, and you have to be behind the target for this ability to work properly. Shade Shift is a 90-second defensive cooldown that absorbs up to 20% of your maximum HP in physical or magical damage now, thank the Lord. Dream Within a Dream is an off-global cooldown that hits 3 times, dealing 200 potency each, and gives you the buff Assassinate Ready, allowing you to use the Assassinate off-global as well. This has a 60-second recast. And last we have Sakuchi. This is a 2-charge teleport that also resets its cooldown every time you hit pretty much everyone with Raiton. So that's the overview of the job, and I'm just going to go ahead and jump straight into what I like and what I dislike. So coming from Stormblood, the rotation of your 3 main weapon skills actually feels really good to me. I was a big fan of Shadow Fang going back to comboing just off of Spinning Edge, the 2-hit combo, as opposed to the 3-hit combo it was in Stormblood. So you're still going to be applying your dot first, and then using about 3 or 4 of your other combos, depending on how many off-globals you have to weave, or if you use Tenchi Jin, or what the mechanics may be. But, even though I was actually a big fan of the Stormblood rotation, I like this one a lot more. I've said it in both the Paladin and the Gunbreaker videos, I'm a big fan of having to manage a dot, and having that dot just be a 2-hit combo is just like, just feels so good to me. I also think that they really accomplished the ninja fantasy that they're going for. You're using your mudras a lot this expansion, and I know a lot of people want to play like a rogue class and not a ninja, but for what Square is going for with this job, I think they did a really great job. Now, there is the argument that a ninja doesn't have to be one that's so heavily influenced by something like Naruto. It's pretty evident in, you summon a frog to spit fire, you're casting all these different ninjutsus, but for what they want the job to be, I think they did really well. Now, even though I think they did a good job capturing the class fantasy, there are some pretty big issues that I actually have with how the job plays outside of the rotation. So the issue I have is there's just way too many off-global cooldowns. Like, there's just too many now. The worst thing, the worst thing ever, in my opinion, in this game is clipping your global cooldown. It feels terrible to me because it's not optimal. Unless you can double weave and not have it clip, it is not optimal to double weave. But you kind of have to do that with this job now, and it's like really horrible on a melee, really horrible on a melee DPS. It's just like on a tank, it's not as bad because their cooldown is a lot slower. But on a melee DPS, when you're getting closer to like 2 seconds, oh man, it's just like the worst thing. So it kind of runs into the same issue that Dark Knight did in Stormblood, actually. In Stormblood, the way you played Dark Knight was you had this ability called Dark Arts. It was an off-global, and it made your abilities do more damage. Now, that's fine, but when you have to use Dark Arts to then make a off-global do more damage to be optimal, and then subsequently clip your GCD, that feels terrible. And then, on top of it, they gave you Blood Weapon, which decreased your weapon skill recast, so it was just even worse, and it was even more impossible to not clip your GCD, and it just felt terrible. Like, the job was just like in conflict with itself. I'm not sure how much the opener has changed now, because this is where I ran into a lot of problems was with the opener. So if that's changed, that's great. For what I have looked up, it does not appear to have changed very much, and it just didn't feel good to me. I wasn't really feeling it. Another problem that has plagued Ninja since its inception has been ping. If you have bad ping, you can't use 2 mudras in between one global cooldown, and that means you clip it again. So with the changes to Fuma Shuriken and Raiton, and the removal of slashing debuff and the loss of our poisons, it's almost always better to Raiton, and I don't have very good ping, so it's really annoying that the optimal way to play the job is to use Raiton, but then that clips my GCD. So it's like, do I be unoptimal with my GCD and use Raiton, or do I be optimal with it but then lose out on all that extra potency every like 40 seconds or whatever it is? I don't like having to make that decision, and I don't think that should be that's not like a really fair decision I think the player should have to make. I know you can use a VPN, and I have done that before. It worked out well. I used to use Mudfish. If anyone's curious, it's a pretty cheap option. But I feel like that's not something that players should have to use in order to be optimal at the game. I think the game should allow you to be as optimal as you can, and you shouldn't have to use third-party software to be optimal. I'm not sure what else Square can do to alleviate this. I know they've already done a good amount, but if there's anything else they could do, I really think it would help. Alright, and then there's Bunshin. So in the media tour, Bunshin applied a second Shadow Fang, and it was... I actually freaked out when I saw that happen. Like I've said a million times before, I really like managing dots, and having 2, even though you don't really manage the second one, just having 2 again, oh my god, I was really looking forward to that, and I was really excited. So you can imagine how disappointed I was when I went to a training dummy immediately after hitting level 80, and it didn't do what I thought it did. Now, I understand that the media tour build was not final, and that things were subject to change, and it's pretty much 100% my fault that I felt disappointed, but it still really didn't sit well for me, and it kind of turned me off. The ability also just doesn't really line up super well with Trick Attack, and it just kind of feels weird, and I don't know. I was really looking forward to this ability, and it just kind of let me down in a couple ways. Now, my last complaint, I swear, is the change to Assassinate. I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. They got rid of all the other executes in the game, so just get rid of this one. Adding another off GCD to try and squeeze into Trick Attack when we already got a second Kasatsu and more Bavakakras and Bunshin, it's just whoa. Like, it's just too much. It's just too much. Either I think they should either change it back to the way it was or just get rid of the ability. Like, no one's gonna miss it. I don't know. So I know it sounds like I'm being like really negative towards Ninja, and by no means do I think that it's a bad job. I just didn't really enjoy the changes to the abilities, and the amount of clipping that I'm experiencing when playing the job just doesn't feel good. Like I've said before in this video about probably 5 times, and probably more than 5 actually. And it's kind of sad because like when I think of Final Fantasy XIV, I think of Ninja because that's what I've been playing since I started the game in A Realm Reborn like a month before Heaven's Word came out. So, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the job. You know, Warrior at the beginning of Stormblood was like pretty poo-poo, and they did some pretty big updates to it. And again, I don't think Ninja's like poo-poo. I just think they need to change some of these off globals, and I think it'll feel a lot better. And so it's very possible that we'll see something like that. It's weird because it's like the best Ninja we've gotten, because Ninki is on weapon skills now, and you're casting a lot of mudras, and you're doing a lot of cool things, and Trick Attack got buffed. But it just, the amount of clipping that I'm getting is just, I don't know, not for me. It's just not for me anymore. Quick side note also, I'm genuinely curious as to why they gave us Meisui. Like, it's just so out of the blue. We already have Mug, and they got rid of Samurai's Kagakure, which it gives them Kenki based off of how many Sens they've had, and they just gave it to Ninja. Like, it's just the same move. It's just now it takes Suiton. Like, it's just, like, it's cool that you get to use Suiton for something besides Trick, but it just seems weird that they're trying to, like, get rid of extra abilities and extra nonsense on our hotbar, and they got rid of this ability for Samurai and then just gave it to us. I'm just curious about why they did it. Okay, and those are my thoughts on Ninja. I know it wasn't as optimistic as the last 2 videos, but I do think that these are things that need to be addressed. So, Square Enix, if you're watching, I'm excited to see what they have in store for the job for the rest of the expansion. I'm going to really be looking at all the changes and trying them out every time, even if they're just like really small potency things, just because I'm interested. But thanks again to everyone for watching, and if you like what you see here, feel free to subscribe and throw a like, or check out my Twitch channel, which is linked below in the description. I'll be streaming Raid for Final Fantasy XIV, among other things. We got a couple other games like Monster Hunter. Hopefully I heard there's supposed to be a PC beta coming out sometime soon, so when that comes out, like, my life's gonna be gone for a couple days. So yeah, we got some cool things going on over at the Twitch channel, and I think the next video I'm gonna do is probably gonna be on Dark Knight, so keep your eyes out for that. Thanks again, everyone, and I'll see you later.